ID. So we established a process of reference cards for each candidate. So whenever he comes for an interview, he fills in those when during his wait time for the interview, and that gives us you have a additional 10,000 possibly contacts for which you can run campaigns to be able to get them to come on table for if they're interested in terms of switching their jobs. Again, the numbers are because that's the estimation of what we believe have been savings. We've been active in social media in terms of a LinkedIn or a Facebook. We've been very active in LinkedIn. Everybody knows that LinkedIn currently is used at a manager and above. It's a great source for recruitment, and we've been actually operating a lot of LinkedIn accounts of all our seniors whom a lot of people approach for jobs. We said that we don't want to keep it at a level at which it can happen, if at all it can happen. We would want to make a process out of it. So that's something has been interesting. Careers at 5888 has been also a good source for us so far to be able to get people on board. Another interesting piece in terms of sourcing that we do is industry academia. Again, not necessarily unique anymore, but something which is very important. For example, places like commodities broking. There's no talent in India in commodities broking. We are already a market leader. We almost do 8 to 10% of commodities broking in India. Now, where do you get people from? Because your competitors don't hold the talent that you want to recruit. And in our social structure, a parent is not going to say, "Beta bada hoke commodity broker ban ja." It's not something that is aspired for. So you have to kind of really promote. And so we tied up with educational institutions, created diplomas in commodity broking, started actually working with people in terms of that they get trained in commodity broking, so we get a better talent. We sponsor that piece, and it's a very interesting arrangement. I believe it's a win-win-win for institute candidate as well as for us. And we've been able to upgrade the quality of intake over there significantly. Again, huge piece in terms of the whole online platform that we've been able to create, and possibly it may take a little more time to explain this, but so I'm skipping. But again, technology is extensive, deployed extensively in all recruitment efforts. Important piece, values. When you establish your value structure, you have to take it to your 12,000 employees right to the end, to a D-class city. Even if it's a 3-people branch that is run, he needs to understand what do you stand for, what is a characteristic of your organization, what is the desired behavior, what is appreciated, what is not appreciated. I think in long run that makes huge difference in terms of an organization's success. These are extremely soft issues, but these are the issues that makes difference in terms of people capability, in terms of your ability to deliver quality service to your customers, and all of that becomes extremely important for us. Because we recruit very heavily in the industry, for us, onboarding or induction becomes extremely key issue. Again, this industry, for your information, we work in life insurance broking, mutual fund. These are high attriting industries. So, there will be always a lot of churn, whether you like it or not, but there will be churn. So the idea is, how do I get people, right people in? How do I, most productively induct them and ensure that there is no attrition in first 3 months, because that is complete waste. There will be some attrition due to performance, people are not able to deliver on standards and stuff like that. That is fact of life. But that's not true for the first 3-month attrition. And so how do I make it closer to zero? So that is the, people who hold induction as a portfolio, that's the kind of target that they hold, that they have to take the first 3 months induction almost to the zero. The whole employee communication piece is extremely critical, as I said, and it's not about taking only value structure down there, but you need to constantly update them in terms of what's happening with the company, what's happening with company's results, what are the new initiatives. You picked up Northgate as a company. Why are you picking up Northgate? Somebody, again, imagine somebody sitting in Gorakhpur, dealer in equity broking, and suddenly he sees in the newspaper that, Breliger acquired Northgate, a US-based global asset management platform. Now, he has no clue about what is this. It's our job to ensure that he understands at least the rationale. It's not that he needs some 200-page rationale over there. He just needs enough information so that, he can talk to his customer. He can give customer confidence about the brand. And that's something which is important in terms of when you talk about employee communication. How do I take the latest update, the latest intent down to the last person? He needs to understand vision. He needs to buy into your vision. And, that's all about employee communication. Again, various aspects, right from a newsletter to an intranet site being extensively used for that. This is something, Relic Academy is what we use it for all our learning and development efforts. You can't necessarily always buy talent. Idea is also to create talent. Idea is also to upgrade current level of skills to a next level of skills, considering what your organization's ambition is. And again, it's a tiered approach. So different set of people have in the organization, or senior leadership vis-a-vis the middle level, vis-a-vis the front level, has different level of primarily needs. And there is strategic objectives also, right from building culture to increasing bench strength to building leadership pipeline. And that is something that one is consciously working on. If you become a bank tomorrow, do you have 40 people to be parachuted from your current unit to the bank? And if you don't have, you better have it in next 18 months, because that's the way, you need to kind of work with to be able to reduce your acquisition price. You can't necessarily, as I said, always buy talent. You have to create within. That's the way you'll be able to hold on to the talent as well. So a lot of effort through Relic Academy, both in terms of leadership development as well as managerial development. We do almost, this year we should be able to close something like 1.5 man days, which is like 18,000 man days of training this year, both in terms of classroom as well as e-learning format. Talent management, these are early days for us, because we just started the effort after establishing the entire performance management system. So early days, we're using currently development center as an approach to look at maybe top 300 talent in the organization, making them aware of their development needs. And I think in next financial year, the focus will be largely into talent development. So it's more currently in terms of, making them aware of their development needs. Quickly, maybe 2 more minutes if I have. One is, this is the process that we established 6 months back. Lot of you and cry about that, so much of hard work and very little recognition. Again, not new that you would have seen most organizations that phenomena exist. We said we need a formal structure around it in terms of across the organization, establishing different kind of reward structures, recognition structures, and a very formal way of identifying people. In fact, I'm just coming from one of the meetings of which decided star of the quarter for the organization. And this is now extremely well entrenched in terms of organization culture. You have things like you did it cards, which a manager can just quickly sign off and give it to his employee if there is a great job done by somebody. So those kind of recognition systems are something which we believe that are needed, especially in a highly disintegrated kind of location structure where we exist. We spoke about technology, so I'm kind of skipping a little bit on this. Now, one of the things, and before closing, I just want to add on that a lot of this that you see is not necessarily applicable to all 12,000 people. There are certain things which are, as I said in the start, very carefully looked at with reference to individual CEO of the business, what is applicable. So it's almost offered on a platter, on a menu basis, that some of these things are not negotiable. So I wouldn't say a recognition system, a CEO has a choice to say, no, I don't want it, or a talent management system, he doesn't want it. But for example, a Relic Academy, I wouldn't want to say, okay, managerial skills, I have 800 managers, all of them go through. No, that's not, again, that's a lot of it is a waste of effort and money. The idea is what is relevant to you, what makes sense to your business, where are you in terms of life cycle, and what needs to be stressed upon. So those kind of customizing those pieces to a particular business has always been a focus, not just in terms of a training effort, but various HR initiatives. The recruitment processes could be different for a asset management firm, which could be different to a lending piece, which could be different to a capital markets broking piece. So it's important that we kind of, we've been conscious about looking at it differently for different businesses. And I think so far it's still a journey. There is some way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamlesh. That was a very well structured and interesting presentation. And I think you brought out the point of the brand building of an organization by HR. Normally this is missed out. Normally people look at the marketing only, that they only do the brand building. But HR, through its own efforts and through the employees, I think is the biggest brand ambassador of any organization. And I think we have got examples across the table to vouch for that. You also brought out the challenges of managing the diverse, multi-locational workforce, because it's very difficult to manage people spread across where we are not in contact on a physical basis. So when you innovate through these technology portals and all, so sometimes you get that satisfaction of talking to somebody through a portal, but sometimes not. So you have to deal with all those kind of, I think, issues, and that itself is a big challenge. So thanks, Kamlesh, for your presentation. Moving on, I would like to request Mr. Girish Johar from Ericsson India Limited to please give his presentation.
Very good morning to all of you. So I will pick up the thread from where Kamlesh left it. It's so very true that one hat doesn't fit all heads. And I'm conscious of the fact that I have experienced professional colleagues sitting here in this forum, as well as some of the students from the academy. And the fact of life remains that one cannot become a master chef by picking up a book and simply following the recipes which are prescribed in that book. So the ingredients have to be right. Even the mood to cook has to be right. So the passion, the purpose for which what you are doing is extremely important. And what I would share from my organization perspective may be true for my company, but it cannot be copied, pasted in another organization. That's extremely important, because it's the overall context of an organization that is so very crucial, apart from the leadership commitment. So I represent Ericsson, and I'll just take 2 slides on this to share with you the kind of business that we are into. We are a global organization operating for more than 125 years, operating roughly out of 175 countries. And today, mobile telephony is a part and parcel of our life. It's a way of our life. Increasingly, more and more applications are happening through the devices. Some of you must be doing banking transactions, looking at the online share transaction portals. So there are cooking gas. So a device is beyond a phone. And what we do is provide the technology that really makes the device work. So that's our business. We provide hardware as well as we provide the services to manage the telecom networks, and enjoy approximately 40% market share in GSM, leading player in 3G, and LTE, which is, in simple words, 4G technology. Employ approximately 85,000 employees across the globe. India is a fairly important market for Ericsson. Last year, we did almost about $2 billion worth of business out of this market. We are, again, a significant player with approximately 38% market share in the mobile telephony here. Employ nearly 9,000 employees. And we represent in India. As I said, India is very important for Ericsson. So we do almost everything that Ericsson does at a global scale. We have one of the 4 manufacturing facilities. We have one of the few software R&D centers. We have the largest remote global service delivery center. So we deliver services to telecom operators across the globe sitting out of India. And we are, of course, a network equipment supplier. In terms of the markets, as of today, our customers are the mobile operators. But going forward, we also look at sectors like transport, sectors like banking, sectors like utility services, also as our customers, because the day is not far when your meter reading at home will not be happening by somebody visiting you, but it will be happening simply through the mobile devices. So those are the futuristic businesses. TV and media is another large market that we are looking at for future. And there are 4 business units that deliver this business to the customers. So India contributes a significant portion of Ericsson's assets across the globe. Moving on, when it comes to high-performance organizations, there are many things which you will see on the slides, and of course I will not be talking about all of them, but I will try and speak largely about some of the signature processes that we believe could be good practices to share with this audience. One of the important things is that any initiative from HR has 2 very important connects. The first connect is the connect with the business. I got to know where is my business going. Any HR professional worth his salt or her salt does not deserve a seat on the table unless we really understand the business as well as any line head or a business head. That's the first thing. The second important point is that we got to really understand what is it that the employees want us to do. Because a lot of times we have a tendency to drive programs. We might have heard about some interesting practices in certain organization and we can simply come and copy paste them into our own organization. But it's important to understand what really is the pulse of the employees in the organization. Surveys, a lot of organizations do, but survey customized as to what is the underlying test, what is it that you're trying to check through the survey is very crucial. So we have a very important process in the organization, which is an annual process called dialogue survey, which is run by an external neutral agency. That survey goes to all the employees at the same time. And that throws out certain issues along with our business issues, which determine where do we focus in these 7 blocks that you see. Of course, it's a gourmet dish offering, so all ingredients have to be in place. But then this year, where do I focus my energy on? Next year, where will I focus my energy on is something which is determined through the business direction as well as the survey. So there are a couple of things in this context, and that's what I mean by saying it's not about an island of excellence, it's about all-round excellence. And a lot of things which are shown here are hygiene factors. They are given. If they are not there, it's a problem. So what do? When we do the survey, we measure a couple of things. One measure is human capital index. And just to name a few things, the questions there are directed to assess what is the level of motivation of the employees. Do they really feel that they have the authority to do what they are doing? Do they get support from the organization? What's the degree of cooperation across the units? So there are about 6 sub-indices that measure and determine what is the human capital index. The second area for any technology company like ours, because today our domain is not telecom. The domain between IT and telecom is converged very rapidly. So in a technology company, innovation, farsightedness, foresight, extremely important. So FCI is Future Capital Index, where we try and understand what do employees see us as. Do they see us as a company with a foresight, or they see that we are not really going in the right direction? Do we have business innovation in the organization? Do we have talent innovation in the organization? So those are some of the things which we try to measure in the Future Capital Index. And then, very important part, values. Values, a lot of time, or most of the times, can be very good posters on the walls of the organization. But how do we make sure that each one of the employees in the organization really understands what those values really mean? Our values signify, what do our values signify? We have 3 values: professionalism, respect, perseverance. And values are useless unless and until the values are translated into a behavior by each person in the organization. Otherwise, they are just a poster on the wall. So if we say customer first, what does it really mean? If there's a customer issue, how does the entire value chain of people connected with the customer, how do they behave? Do they respond instantly, leaving things aside? Or do they say, forget it, we'll see it tomorrow, or we'll see it after 2 hours? And those are the behaviors that we try to assess, that do our employees believe that everyone in the company demonstrates those values that we are trying to propagate in the organization. And then we assess motivation, the employee engagement. We also ask questions whether people are likely to stay in the organization or they are looking for jobs. So we also get to know what's the set number of people who are at risk. We also try to see whether people feel motivated or they feel frustrated or they feel alienated in the organization. And last but not the least, leadership is extremely important. So they have a possibility to comment about the overall leadership of their department, as well as they have a possibility to comment about their own immediate manager. And there, we look at managers in terms of their organizational capability, thought leadership, and people skills. So those are some of the broad parameters which become a starting point for what we do in terms of driving various HR programs. Business Connect, my earlier colleague talked about various kinds of communication programs, forums. I think this is very essential for every employee, and every company, I'm sure, does it in its own way. But importantly, with how much of transparency do you go out? How frequently do you go out? How much of rigor is there? Do you really are able